Yes.
Okay, cool.
Looks like we're live. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for tuning in, and happy Sunday. Today we have a very unique personality, super young, with a super impressive background. Abdurahim Shodmonov. He's 22 years old, a college dropout, serial entrepreneur, currently living in Baltimore, Maryland. He got into entrepreneurship at a very young age of 16, flipping shoes online, doing retail arbitrage between different marketplaces, and even eventually getting into e-commerce. Now he's the founder and CEO of Organics Nature, an e-commerce and health and wellness company on pace to do $6 million revenue for the year. Apart from his current business, he's also engaged in the development of Primal Queen, a promising new startup within a similar niche. How you doing, Abdurahim?
Doing great, thank you. That was a great, actually. I never heard that type of intro before.
All right, let's warm up and get to know you better and start with some fun and blitz questions that require short answers. If you go into details, that'll be fine. Name a person who inspires you.
Um, f- from within what field? I mean,
Name a person who inspires you in general in life, like maybe anyone that you look up to, that you learned a business from, or someone who wrote a book or something. If there's any, if there's none, that'd be fine. That's a good answer too.
I would say there's none.
There's none. Oh wow, maybe yourself.
Yes, feature myself.
Okay, what is one food that you would never want to give up?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay, are you an optimist or realist?
Realist.
Realist. Okay. Uh, would you rather be social or alone?
Alone.
Alone. I see. So you're an extrovert, not an introvert, or you're an
Yeah,
introvert.
I'm an
Okay.
introvert, but once I get to know people, then I open up. Yeah.
I see. I see. Do you prefer dogs or cats?
Actually, neither.
Neither. Go forward in time or go back in time?
Go back in time.
Go back in time. I see. What's the best compliment you ever gotten from someone?
Uh, uh, I don't know. Quite a bit of them, but I would say you lost some weight.
Oh, nice. So has
Yeah.
this always been an issue for you or something that
Yeah,
you had? Yeah,
I
I
was just
see.
never in peak top form shapes before, so that's why.
I see. I see. So what's your best quality as an individual?
um, I would say independent thinking, just making uh
Hmm.
uh, uh taking everything with a grain of salt. That's what I would say.
Hmm. Awesome. Okay. How many hours a day do you work?
Probably like 10, 12 hours.
Oh wow, 10, 12 hours. What time do you start usually?
8:30, and then I leave work around like 6 p.m. But then at night, I'm like back to it after I go to gym and eat.
I see. I see. And what does money mean to you?
Um, uh, Basically, uh, fuel in my car. That's what it means. Like
What?
gas in my car. You can't drive anywhere without actual gas. So that's what it means.
Hmm.
You
So it's
can't
the
go any.
source of energy.
That's pretty much it.
I see. I see. What's your main role in life that you always follow?
Um, be a good person and uh, uh, do what I'm supposed to do in this life, and and think about the life after, because this is not it.
Hmm. Hmm. Awesome. Okay. and you wanted to get a BMW. It was always your dream, right? But you ended up getting a Mercedes G wagon. What happened? Why did you get G wagon, not a BMW?
No, I actually didn't want to get either of them, but it was just for like tax reasons, to save some money on taxes. That was the only reason I got it. But I drive a Honda every day.
Oh, you drive a Honda every day. Nice. What Honda?
Yeah,
Is it a
it's
Accord
a
or
no. The year is 2000. It's called S2000. It's an old car.
S? Oh, wow. Really? Wow. So, if your life was a story, what would it be titled?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Actually, I couldn't come up with a
It's a
quick answer.
tough question.
I would have to think about that one. I'll come back.
I see. Okay. Yeah, just think about it. All right. Awesome. Thanks for the answers. And just wanted to encourage the viewers who are watching us, will be watching us, to drop their questions and, make our interview more interesting. It's more like a conversation, not like an interview. So we would encourage everyone to join us. And all right, let's talk about your autobiography. Get to know you better. Where were you born and where'd you grow up? Let's talk about your your social life, your life at school as a young kid and as a teenager.
Yeah, I grew up in Bukhara, Uzbekistan, until I was about 13, 14. Um,
Hmm.
Grew up really happy. There wasn't much to worry about anything in life. Some people say I grew up broke and whatever, but not me. I grew up very comfortable. Uh, in terms of, I was very social. I loved just hanging out with friends. I would go to school happily, come back after school, hang out with more people, play soccer every day in the back, in the backyard, or in the neighborhood. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, and I went to school there, so my mentality and the way I grew up, everything was around back home. So I didn't come here at too young age where it's like I was influenced heavily by this society. So I grew up sawing, and mentally and physically I grew up there obviously, but um, the society back home, that's what influenced me mainly. So because I know some kids, they just come here around like 10 years old and then they completely switch up because they get easily influenced and swung by one side heavily. So but yeah.
Okay, very interesting. So you believe that some of the values that you learned growing up still stayed with you. That you still have them, and that kind of helped you, become who you are at the moment, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like the core values of the respect and everything else that was taught back home never lost me. That's why I can obviously see those things when I go to like events or anything like that, or conferences. People are like always like making kind of like jabs at me. They're like, "Hey, you did this." You're like, "Well, how come?" So it's like out of ordinary, but and
Mm,
it's not like I'm ashamed to do whatever it is or to just believe what I deeply care about. So
I see. So you grew up very comfortably, right?
yeah,
So obviously you must be very grateful for your parents too, that
of
they
course.
provided life for you, right? And you've been always active. And what was your characteristics when you were young, and how did it change when you became a teenager? Let's say, if we could, touch on that.
Yeah. Uh. Um, I would say I was very like respectful to everybody and very not a selfish person, right? And I would always care about other people.
Hmm.
A community person. So if there was anything to help with anybody, I would always be
Yeah.
there to help. Um, not not indirectly or directly, regardless. Um,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, I also did a lot of, fun things, like skip school and stuff like that, even when I was a kid. But
Hmm. Hmm.
so yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Uh, what school did you go to again? And what were the subjects that you were interested in growing up? Were you were you good at any subjects, or did you not like any subjects at school?
Yeah,
Uh,
back home, like
yeah, and when you
okay,
were in Bukhara.
yeah, Bukhara. The school was number 4 Alisher Nawawi, and yeah, I definitely had my favorite subject was math. That's what I really loved actually, and I was actually good at it. But everything else I hated: geography, science, anything biology related. I couldn't stand it.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, interesting. And let's talk about your transition from high school to college. What kind of vision did you have for your future?
Um, at the time when we moved here, I was basically in middle of 8th grade back home. So when I moved
Mhm,
here, I was supposed to be in the middle of 8th grade. So basically, right end of middle school. But
mhm,
because I didn't know English, they recommended and they put me a grade back. They said, "Hey, if you go to middle school right now, you going to high school in about half a year, and you don't know English yet. You're gonna struggle in high school." So they put me back a
mhm,
year. I was in middle of 7th grade, so I was in middle school for about a year and a half. So I learned
mhm.
English pretty quickly during that time. Then when I transitions into high school, any type of goals or things that was there wasn't really there until about sophomore year. So in ninth grade, I was in my phase where I was really trying to fit in. That was my phase of my teen life, I would say, right? Where you
And
trying to
you were in
figure
the
out.
States,
Yeah, that's in the States. Yeah.
and how old were you again?
So I was 14, about 14 years old when I moved here. Yeah.
And how well did you speak English back then?
Well, when I came here, I knew very little English. I just knew
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah. So for that, before we came here for a couple months, I got a vocabulary book and with a tutor, and he was just teaching me a bunch of words. Like I didn't even know grammar. It was just words, 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 because he was like, "Hey, this is the best way for you to learn English fast," and he was right actually. Um, so but yeah, I didn't know. I spoke very little English. So then when I came back, and then when I came here, I was taking ESOL classes for a year and a half in middle school. So that's how I learned.
Wow, interesting. So you didn't speak any English, and then
No.
how long did it take you to get to where you are now in terms of the level of proficiency you have in English?
Probably like high school. By high school, I learned English like fluently, but I still had I would say quite heavy accent. I still
Hmm.
do, but it's not as much as I used to have in freshman year.
Yeah, I don't see any. I
Yeah,
don't see any,
never.
but awesome. Okay. And why did you end up dropping out from college, and how did it happen?
Yeah, that's a very interesting story, actually. So I
Mhm.
graduated high school, and then um, I knew I was not gonna go to college really deep down, but I never shared it with anybody. But typical immigrant parents, immigrant family, where everybody pressures you to go to college and be a doctor or be a lawyer. And I knew deep down that's not something I would be able to do, regardless, even if I wanted to. I couldn't force myself. I had no interest in that. So I went to community
Mhm.
college. I signed up, and I was getting FAFSA. So I was getting a refund every quarter, about $2,000. And guess what motivates me? At that time, it
Mhm.
was just money. I didn't have money, so I was like, okay, that sounds fun. Go to college, get paid $1,500 back every quarter because I was getting FAFSA. So I was going to college for free to the community college. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I went to the community college, business administration major for
Mhm.
I think about 2 years.
Uh-huh.
And during those time, I was still like kind of dabbling into business and trying to figure out what I was gonna do. But I was already into the e-commerce space right before I went to college. So I kind of knew that this was gonna be my industry. This is where I was gonna actually settle in and
Mhm.
actually do good. But at that time, I
Right.
had nothing tangible to show for what I'm doing. I was just like trying new things, failing, trying things and failing, trying different products and failing. So I had nothing. So I had to keep going to community college because I'm not just gonna sit home and at least not, be a bum ass and just do nothing. So I went to college for 2 years, I believe, and then I got my I got 57 credits for my associate's degree total. I completed it. And
Okay.
yeah, so you need
Mhm.
60 credits to get your associate's degree. So,
Sure.
and I had one class left, science with a lab. So science is
Mhm.
a three points, I think, and then a lab is another. So 4 credits, and
Mhm.
I just couldn't do it. So I dropped out at that point when I started my
You
main business.
couldn't do it. You were not capable of doing it, or you just didn't want to do it?
I just couldn't. I just didn't want to do it.
Okay, I see. Hmm. All right.
So
Yeah, you keep going.
yeah, even when I was in college, actually, I majority of my homeworks I never did them myself. I would outsource them through
Oh,
Fiverr to people in Pakistan or India. I would pay them like $20 a week, and they would do all the homework. So I would just give them my login, username, and password. They would go into my account, look at the schedule of what assignments needs to be done. The only assignments they couldn't do is the one where you have to take an exam where it's basically it records you, so you cannot finesse that system. So,
right, right.
so other systems, any other exams where you didn't need to show your face, I would just outsource it, pay them 20-25 bucks a week, and they would complete all my assignments. And I would just show up in class, and that's it. And I would, even if I failed a class assignment, everything else would have been like 90+%, like so A plus. So that would just balance it out, and I would pass.
Wow, wow. That's interesting. I don't want to encourage everyone like who's going to high school to do the
Oh,
same. I
definitely
think
not. You're
maybe
gonna
could
be
be
so much.
cheating. Like that's smart of you. I mean, you have to do what you have to do, right? You outsourced, wow, homework to a different country, like people from a different country, and you paid 20-25 bucks per week so that they
Yeah.
could just work you basically full time, I guess, to do your homework. Very interesting. So you said you kept trying and failing. What did you mean by that? Like, what did you try and why you failed?
Yeah, so right end of high school, my last
Mm.
year of my during my senior year, that's when I got into um, really e-commerce specifically. During the
Mm.
high school, I was just flipping shoes and flipping designer stuff online, just trying to make money. But during my last year of senior year, that's when I got into e-commerce drop shipping model, and since then I just knew there was something. I realized the trend was there in terms of, hey, like everything is now going e-commerce, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, very interesting.
Malls, yeah, physical malls are closing. Everything else, like people are less going out. That was way before COVID too. So everything, like people are just like becoming more and more lazy, and they don't want to move out of their house. Everything has to be done online and stuff. So I realized the point I'm trying to make. I realized the industry was going nowhere. So that's what I kind of like put. That was the first rule. I was like, I don't want to be in an industry where I'm swimming against the tides, and in the e-commerce industry, and you're not, because e-commerce is not going anywhere. So that was the first thing that I really assured myself that, hey, even if first couple of projects fail, I had to keep going because e-commerce itself is not going anywhere. So that kind of reassured me that, hey, even if I fail something, I'm just gonna go onto the next, and eventually I'll hit something. Um, so during those years, I had many products, many private labeled products, drop shipping products that I ran, advertised, and made a little bit of money. Some I lost a lot of money, and just kept trying different products until I could start a product or an actual brand like I have now, where then it's established a company where it has assets, value, customer
Mm.
base, repeat customer base, and all those type of things, which
Yeah.
makes it actual valuable, because the model that I was doing drop shipping was not a sustaining business model.
Hmm. Hmm. We'll definitely ask about questions about drop shipping. But let me ask this. So in one of your social media posts, I came across this statement. I got exposed to many things in high school. Some were potentially bad routes, but some were great. What were the bad routes and what were the great ones? If you could touch
Yeah,
on that as well.
yeah, of course. And like I mentioned earlier, that was my freshman year. So that
Mm.
was my
First.
teen year where I just got into high school. It's completely different environment than middle school, because middle school is just more controlled by teachers and
Mm.
authorities, so you don't really get out of the circle that they draw you in. But in high
Yeah.
school, I realized like the circle can be broken, and I see other people break it every day. So
Mm.
so that means you can break the circle in a good way or in a bad way, right? You can join in a bad circle or in a good circle, and it's all
Mm.
up to you. And you get easily influenced when you're around that age, I feel like. And especially me, that was my year in freshman year, um, um, because I was trying to fit in. I didn't had circle of friends. This high school was brand new. None of my middle school friends came to me with this high school. So when I came, I was just a loner, pretty much. I didn't know nobody. So in order to make friends, you have to find, first of all, like a small community that you see that you can be part of. And
Mm-hmm.
you join some and you realize, oh, what they're doing is like you don't want to be in that route. They're just like smoking every day, drinking and partying, and you go into that circle, guess what? All they're inviting you to is smoking parties and drinking parties or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, no, that's something I cannot be part of. And
Mm.
uh, other things were overall, even when a lot of the high school kids at that time, and anybody that you meet, really, they're not genuine, right? They're just like, hey, yeah, just like casual talking and boyfriend girlfriend type of things, and a lot of those type of things where I really didn't have it inside me, but because I was being influenced, it would just swing me, right? I wouldn't have strong roots to stay on my own 2 feet to say this is where I stand. But so I was easily influenced by many circles. So I would just be friends with these people just so they accept me. But if they do invite, I would just decline. But
Mm.
a lot of the time you would, then they start to push you away because, hey, you talk with us, you're friends with us in high school, but then you're not showing up, or whatever, outside, like we're not hanging out. But that's just a
Mm.
short summary of where to my point, where it's like that's the year that I was being influenced easily. So I could have gone bad. I could have like hanged out with these people that obviously would have never been productive in any shape or form.
Very interesting. So you wanted to build your strong roots, you mentioned, right? And you didn't want to join those circles that mainly were involved in smoking, drinking, and like all these like instant gratification activities that I like to call, right? And at that age, like everybody can be influenced by many things, right? Because like that's the age when people make crucial decisions in terms of where they're going, where they're headed in their lives, right? And it's also interesting to find out like how high school works in the United States, because most of the guests that we invite are the people who moved to the States when they were already grown up. I myself moved when I was like 19, right? So I never ended up going to high school. I went to a community college, and then I went to a college, 4 year college, right? But then I never experienced high school in the States. And it's interesting to find out what are some of the interesting good and bad things about high school. If you could maybe talk about it more in details, I think that might be interesting for our viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time. A lot of kids go to high school, and it's like you don't want to join, like, deep down. You know it, like it's like even being around those people like influence you negatively during in your schoolwork, whatever, like in your regular day to day life. But as an immigrant, uh, guy, I would say in my own shoes, you have a bad accent, you don't know English properly, and
Mhm.
you just want to be friends. You just want to like get in a group of people where they accept you as you are, right? And some of those people, they're not the proper, good guys. Sometimes it's not, they're not, right? And you join some people where like they're just reckless in life. They don't care about nothing. So if you act like them, you're more than welcome to join. Um,
Mhm.
uh, yeah,
So you
but
have to fit in basically to be able to be part of that circles, right?
yeah, exactly. So
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Somebody's asking. I'm assuming he or she's from Uzbekistan. Do you recommend someone from Uzbekistan? Let's paraphrase it. Go to university abroad. What do you think? I know you've never experienced a high school or school experience in Uzbekistan, but still, What would you say?
So the question is university, right? So like after high school,
University.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, of
Pretty much.
course. Yeah, yeah. You know, because it's not just about studying in the university. The fact that you're able to go out abroad, out of Uzbekistan, I feel like university is probably like the small percentage. 80% of
Mm,
the actual value is gonna be outside of the fact that you went out of the country and you experienced and you get opened up to a lot of opportunities, a lot of networking with people where you kind of see a different life, like the perspective of life, right?
mm,
So you're not just like limited to wherever you are located, you know. So
mm,
regardless of what field you're doing, if you're able to afford the university, but you're back
mm,
home in Uzbekistan, I would definitely recommend you do it regardless.
mhm, mhm. So that way, it pushes you out of your comfort zone, which is a good thing, especially when you're growing up, right? You face problems and try to solve problems all by yourself. Learn how to be self-reliant, right? So yeah, just to paraphrase it, college is one thing and living abroad is another thing. So you would
Yeah.
definitely be exposed to a different environment and you get to learn a
Mhm.
lot. Uh, awesome. Okay. And what is strong roots for you? What does that mean? And how did you build it? If you think you already built it for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's a process that never ends. You always have to do it because at each different level of life and different seasons, you have
Mm,
to you have to build stronger even roots in order to sustain yourself in that level. So I'll give you an
mm,
example. So um, b- to answer your question, that's what
yeah.
I feel like figuratively. That's when I started actually building my roots when I got more confidence in me. When you gain more confidence and you gain um, uh, that the fact that hey, you don't have to do nothing what these other people are telling you or they doing. You don't have to do, and as long as you stand on your 2 feet and they respect you enough, where you don't get influenced by them and you stand by the core values that you have. I think that's when you actually start building your roots. And I want to give an example where, but at each different part of life, I feel like you have to get and you will have to build stronger roots in order to sustain yourself around that time. So let's say in high school, all you have to do is just build confidence and stand on your 2 feet, and people gonna be like, "Wow, this guy's smart." You don't have to know everything. You don't. You can be a dumbass. You don't. You could be the smartest person. They don't really know because you're all on the same level, right? So nobody really understands deeper into each other except the fact what they see outside in an everyday class. They say what's up, you say what's up, you talk at lunch. But once you start graduating university, for example, let's say during that phase of life, you have to go deeper into your roots and build stronger values for yourself in order to sustain other people where they're more independent. They can bring more to the table. They're able to
Mm,
see from different perspectives of you. Um,
yeah.
so then you have to basically work around that.
Yeah.
Same thing if like you're going out in the business world, I could be hanging out with if I'm hanging out with a bunch of people that are like much level higher than me,
Mhm.
it's like they're the one who have their roots much deeper than I am, right? I'm the one who's like whatever they say, that kind of like goes around. That's how it is.
Mm.
I'm not the best at explaining this concept, but this concept of building your roots, I've read it somewhere else, and it's just the way I'm explaining is probably confusing to a lot of people.
I see. So, hanging out with people who have higher values, right? Higher standards in life, and let's say in general, and it is important. And you don't have to know everything, right? To be able to be confident in general, and having your set of values and do not compromise your values. And what are some of the values that you can state, if you don't mind me asking? What are some of the personal values that you have?
Yeah, I mean one of my strongest values is in within religion. I don't smoke, I don't drink, and and that's within my boundaries. I try not to cross that. That regardless where I'm at. Even if I'm at a social event like at conference or events, they smoke, and I mean they're not necessarily smoke, but they're drinking and partying. Like after party, whatever those type of things are. But that's something that I don't do regardless, even when they offer. And I'm gonna just stand there on my own values and not care about what other people think. And they at some point they're not gonna make any assumptions and actually respect what you stand for. I think
Mm,
sometimes showing what you believe in and standing strong on your own 2 feet gives you much more respect, and a lot more
Mhm.
people gonna understand where you're standing from. The fact that you're not compromising your values for their own comfort, that's what makes you stand out in some of the crowds.
Interesting. Yeah, very wise advice for a lot of young people out there. So, don't compromise your values and stick to them no matter what. And that's how you're going to stand out. That's how you're going to build your uh, solid ground, right? Awesome. Let's talk about uh, some of your posts that you made on social media. You said, I started flipping shoes and designer clothes just so I could afford to wear those myself. It was never to make money, it was just to impress others because I had nothing and was influenced by the people around me. Let's talk about flipping shoes and how you ended up, starting flipping shoes while you were at that young age. You're 16,
Yeah,
17, right?
totally. I think a lot of people who live here can relate. Everybody knows Jordans, Yeezys, and these type of
Sure.
high end shoes. And they're not cheap. They're like on average probably $150 a pop. And
For
so
sure.
$150 a pop, that's a lot of money. Like
Yeah.
back then your parents work and they're making $100 a day, and they
Mm.
have to work a full day, and you put it in perspective of how much $150 is. They have to work full 1.5 days in order for you to wear some Jordans
Yeah.
versus like a $30 sneakers. So
Mhm.
I knew I was never gonna ask my parents to buy me those expensive shoes ever, and that was never because I had I had awareness of like what money was. I'm not
Mhm.
just gonna go and ask my parents who make minimum wage for $150 shoes, because that would be just reckless and irresponsible from my end. So I never mentioned, or I would never ask. So instead, I just put my head towards a different direction. Hey, if I'm not gonna ask, nobody else gonna give it to me. So I might as well start looking for the answers. So then I started
Yeah.
looking into if I could flip shoes or if I could do anything to make extra money to get those shoes. Um, and I found out you could actually flip the shoes themselves to make money, because there are limited edition drops that happen once in a while. You buy a couple of pairs, you sell them.
Mhm.
Now you make money. You're in the net positive, so now you can either wear the shoes yourself or um, you know and make extra money for yourself.
Which shoes? What does that mean? Like you buy the shoes online or offline? Doesn't matter, right? And then
Yeah.
when you flip the shoes, like what do you mean? You wear them and then you just sell them,
No, no,
or
you
what is that?
flip them basically, like you buy it and you sell it right away. That's what it means. So for
Oh,
example, I still have one of the pairs that so I bought Yeezys when I was in like freshman or sophomore. I think it was sophomore. I bought 2 pairs of Yeezys for about
mhm,
$250 each. It was $500.
mhm.
And right off the bat, when I bought it, I didn't even have the shoes themselves. I would only get a screenshot of the receipt that I had, and I posted on eBay saying, "Hey, I got these shoes. It's coming in a week. I listed them for $550. Instantly, someone bought it. So they're like, hey,
Oh,
they waited about a week. I got the shoes. They already purchased. They already gave me the $550. I shipped them as soon as I got the product. And now I spent total of 500 for 2 pairs. And I just sold one pair for $150, $550. So I'm instantly in the
how much
positive. I
money
just put money.
yeah. How much money did you make again?
250 or 300. So
Oh wow. Just from
yeah.
one shoes.
Yeah. So
Oh,
and they're Yeezy, so they're very popular at that time, and they're still are. But so what I did was, instead of selling the other pair, I was like,
uh-huh,
I could just wear these pair and it would just count as free, because I just made 250 or $300. They would just cover this pair. So I actually
uh-huh.
wore them, and I still have them to this day, 5, 6 years
Oh
later.
wow.
And they're actually good quality shoes, so that's why they're worth $250.
Bet. Yeah. 6 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but you didn't. Did you realize that you took a business risk technically, right? You wanted to purchase it and then sell it somewhere else. That's actually already a business transaction that you already started thinking of, right? Did
Yeah.
you realize it was a business, or you just
No, I never
bumped
realized
into?
it was a business transaction. I never realized it was a risk, because you would already kind of do a little bit of research, because you would
Yeah.
know what kind of hype and what kind of expectations that people are paying on the reselling market. So you would have
Right.
already known prior to buying the shoes. I already knew it was gonna go for anywhere around $600. I just put it
Mhm.
up for 550 just to lower my risk and sell it instantly.
Yeah.
That way I get rid of it, and it's still good profits.
Okay, I see. Before we switch from your personal life to like your business, I just wanted to pull up this question that says Salimova. Nowadays, there are many Uzbek teenagers in the U.S. who become more like American teenagers. In your opinion, should they be more like their peers? Uh, if you could maybe, you know, provide any advice based on your experience.
Yeah, so yeah, I know. I'm aware a lot of the teenagers might be trying to, kind of get
Mhm.
into the same values and uh, I would say in a ways of living life as the American, as a regular American teenage guy or gal. But I don't think actually changing your values makes a difference. Like, I mean, not makes a difference. Sorry, is actually worth it for them, right? Yes, be social, talk to them. I'm not saying, hey, just because this guy's bad, don't talk to him at all. Just say what's up, whatever. But actually changing your values or what you believe in just to be friends with these people are not worth it. They're gonna realize that once they're older. But sometimes it might be too late to the point where they might be drawn in way too deep to pull themselves out of the hole without
Correct.
someone else's help. So you don't want them to reach to that point, you know, because every teenager, regardless of what you say, don't hang out with the bad kids, go hang out with the good kids. They're gonna do what they want, regardless. At the end of the day, um, but I would say just teaching them the high school is not everything. Sometimes that's what teenagers think. Like high school is
Mhm.
all in all. Or if something dramatic happens, somebody makes fun of you, that's it. It's the end of the world. It's not. High school
Mhm.
is literally 3 4 years. It goes by so quick, and then you forget everybody, and they never remember you either. So
Very interesting. Yeah, I think what she's also trying to point out is a lot of young Uzbek people, like kids, are imitating American teenagers. They probably seem cooler and more modern and like I don't know. They probably seem more cooler, right? So is it good to imitate the American teenagers? The way they live, the values they
yeah,
have, or is it better to
I
stick to your own roots? You know.
yeah. You should live with what you think is the best way of living. I don't think you should intimate, like try to be someone else that you're not. If you're deep down, you're that type of person, then be an
Mhm.
all it. That's it. Like, there's nothing that I can do. But if that's not you, there's no reason for you to change yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Uh, I can see you have done some wrestling, and I'm assuming you did also college football. I'm saying it because I saw your your team, and or maybe it was soccer. And you
Yeah.
did some skiing. So, did you do sport actively on a regular basis growing up?
Yeah, since I was a kid, I love soccer. I always play soccer, and to this day, I cannot skip soccer at all. I play soccer 2 3 times a week, and it's a must have. But yeah, I wrestled in high school. I also did martial arts since I was a kid back home. But so then I stopped doing martial arts when I came here. But I did wrestle in high school for 2 years. Yeah.
Awesome. Uh, do you think sport is important in life in general?
Oh yes, I love sports. I mean, either you spend your time, like there's always things that like it's basically like a hobby where it's like everybody has free time and everybody chooses to spend in a different way. Like I love soccer and I couldn't sacrifice soccer over anything else on any other activities, I would say, right?
Mhm.
Some
Yeah.
people choose it to video games, sit at home, whatever, or some people do other activities, but for me soccer is like non-negotiable.
I see. I see. And another post says, when they stopped talking to me, they started talking about me. Why did just friends start talking about you? What
That's
did they say?
That's an old post that's like kind of cringy. The fact that now you've said it back to me, it's like I don't know. It was posted I don't know a while ago where. Um,
I see.
oh, that's what around the time actually I was still kind of like getting out of that phase of like trying to fit in. So it was kind of like in between, So that's
Yeah,
when that post
that's
was
what.
inspired.
That's what I assumed. And then at the end of one of your posts, you said you initially wanted to impress others with your achievements and everything, right? Or not achievements, but like the materialistic stuff. And then things changed, priorities changed, and you started caring more about your family and yourself, your self improvement, etc. And how did you end up with it? Did your parents help? get in the right direction, or you maybe found better friends, or you started reading some books and that changed your perspectives in life, or what happened?
Yeah, totally. I think over time, as experience, I don't really like to read books, but I do watch a lot of videos on those topics instead of reading
I see.
books. Like,
Right.
just a side note, I cannot stand reading a book. I'll fall asleep in the first page. But to my point, I that doesn't mean that self-education part where it's like self-improvement part stops just because I don't read books. That's a total like sigma that I think it should be broken. Just because you don't
Mm,
read books doesn't mean you're like dumb or you're stupid or you don't actually learn and
right.
self-improvement. A lot of people ask me and I directly say I don't read books. But I do buy courses all the time. I do go on YouTube and watch different topic videos that interest me the most to learn whatever I need in life. But so that's something that I feel like very important to kind of emphasize on a lot of the kids that might be like younger than me, around my age, where it's like they have the social pressure of like, oh, you don't read books or you don't do this, but you don't have to read books. If you just cannot stand reading books, listen to an audiobook or go to YouTube and research the topic that you're interested in and learn more about it. There's like endless videos on every single book that somebody else trying to make you read. Um, and there's like courses, mentors that you can go and interact with and ask in real life and learn directly and cut your learning curves. So I may have been off topic to the question that you just asked me, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to make emphasize on that because I think that's important.
No, yeah, absolutely. The purpose of reading the book is what? Getting some information, getting some insights, getting some knowledge.
Yeah,
People are educated, right? But then there's other ways that emerged lately within the past like 20, 30 years, right? Which are what? Online courses, YouTube videos. They give as much value, even sometimes more value than just reading books, right? But yeah, I totally can relate to it, and thanks for the advice. Alrighty, let's dig into your business here. Who came up with the name Organics Nature?
uh, it was just a randomly I came up with it. The initial name was different. It was just organic sea moss. And the
Yeah,
reason because I started with one product, which is CMOS, and I named it
CMOS.
organic CMOS. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just it's a type of algae from the ocean, and it has just a bunch of minerals and vitamins. So it's a basically a natural herb that people consume.
Yeah,
Back to the name, the initial name was Organic CMOS. That was the name of the company. The reason I picked Organic CMOS initially was because to rank on SEO, because that was the most popular search volume that was happening around that time. So I was like, if I pick this name instead of random like Organics Nature or something along those lines, I have a higher chance of ranking organically on SEO as well. So that was the reason I picked Organic CMOS. But then about a year into the brand, I realized I had to grow out of CMOS. I had to start selling other products in order to sustain and keep growing the business. But I
Hmm.
couldn't launch new products that was different than CMOS because the whole name of the company is Organic CMOS.
Yeah.
So that would just go against each other. So around that time, after about a year into the company, I decided to rebrand and change the name to Organics Nature, where it just means the word organic is still there. It's just in organics. So I'm not calling any of my our products organic, but it's just organics. But the nature
Organics.
is like entitling to the fact that it's just coming from the nature. So it's not like lab made scientific stuff or synthetic stuff. So that was the
Interesting.
story.
Do you guys manufacture those products, or do you guys buy from third parties?
Well, yeah, it's our own formulations that we outsource, and manufacturer companies produce it for us because we don't have the manufacturing equipment and
Oh,
stuff. But it's our own formula that we create and we give to them, and they basically put it into bottles and stuff like that and produce it for us.
oh wow. And where does the manufacturing take place?
We have multiple products. So we have some suppliers, manufacturers in California for our collagen, suppliers from Colorado, Texas, and Florida.
Hmm. Very interesting. And how did you even like get started? Like you said, you started selling these CMOS at the beginning just to maybe test it out, right? See how it works and if you could make some sales. and then you just realized that there's big potential and you could rebrand it and sell some other lines of products, right? How did it happen? Like, what were you thinking about, like, when you started?
Yeah. So uh, it was around right when COVID happened. So it was about probably April or May when I started it, and the thoughts and the inspiration was behind it that I was already into drop shipping business model, but I kind of turned away from drop shipping business model when COVID hit really hard because all the shippings from China stopped coming
Mm,
as fast. 9 out of 10 planes that was flying every day from China to America bringing the products stopped. So
mm,
the one plane that's basically left there is charging 10 times more. And same thing with the ships. The ships were taking 30, 40 days on average before COVID. Now they're taking 3 months, 4 months to come right when COVID hit. So which means that my business, the business model that I was running, dropshipping, which is selling products and having suppliers directly ship from China to my customer's address, was not working because the shipping times were much longer now. So I had to kind of pivot. And when COVID hit, I started looking into the health industry because that was super interesting to me. And I thought a lot more people were going to be health conscious, and I would have a lot of motivated people buying if I sell any type of health products because COVID just happened. Everybody's worried about their health, immune system, kind of fighting against the COVID and looking
mm.
into the natural aspect of herbs and other things that may help with that. So I was just doing research online, seeing what pops and what kind of have trends. And somehow I came to CMOS and I looked into the trend, and the trend was right going up. So I was like, wow, this kind of has a promising product. So I had to do more research to figure out how to make the product, how to source it, the authentic product from a Caribbean. Um, so, and I did that, with research, and that's how it came about.
I see. Very interesting. When you say you started doing research all by yourself, did you have any team, or you did everything by yourself at the beginning before you
Yeah,
build a
that's correct.
team?
I didn't had no team or nothing like that, and we started selling the product right out of my basement.
Oh, right out of your basement. Very interesting and very interesting. So basically, the business started during the COVID time, right? Is that what it is?
Correct.
And then COVID kind of like prompted, like I don't know, maybe COVID time, the circumstances kind of prompted you or helped you come up
Yes.
with this business and business model, because of the scarcity of some of the products, due to, like, shipping problems from China. Very interesting. Wow. And you looked at this bigger perspective, the economy, how the economy is performing, what are the products that America may need at the moment. Wow, very interesting. Do you have a team at the moment?
Yes, we do. I do.
Okay. And you are the CEO of the company, right?
Correct.
How many other team members do you have in your company?
So online we have about 6 or 7, and offline where for fulfillment from the ends of fulfillment in the warehouse we have about 4, 3, 4.
Three, four. Oh, I see. So there's a total of 10 people operating a business.
Yes.
I see. And what does the revenue look like at the moment? If you could, I don't know, disclose this or.
Yeah, I mean, I just disclosed one number, so I'll just keep it to that. So, but for the
Yeah, no,
year,
sure.
yeah, we are looking very good this year. This year we're growing 40% from last year, and we're also
Mm,
growing month to month about 12% rate. So which is super good. We've been making a lot of changes, a lot of new things, but yeah, we are growing very very rapidly this year than we have ever done in the past year or two.
mhm. I see. And what are some of the roles that some of your team members have in your company? So you're the CEO. Who else are there?
Yeah, so we have an affiliate marketing manager. So he works with the affiliate marketing side of things. We have a service rep. So she's the responsible for customer service. We have
Mm,
social media manager. So she's responsible for posting and stuff like that. We have a media buying team, which they do the advertising. Um, We have a creative team, which they come up with the creatives, new videos to test for advertising. We have an SEO team, so they work on the SEO from the back end of the SEO. And I have a blog writer, which writes about 1 or 2 blogs a week on the website to help the SEO. Who else am I missing? I think that's what I can
That's the
on
core
top of
team.
my mind. I think those are the people, yeah.
What is affiliate marketing? What do they do?
Affiliate marketing is basically working with influencers and social media influencers. So if you see like Kim Kardashian or like popular people post products and stuff like that, basically that's what the affiliate marketing manager that they're responsible to work with those type of people. So we find people that are like fit for our demographic of customers that we're reaching out. They may be a YouTuber, they may be an Instagram, social media, or TikToker, and we try to work with them to get our our products into their hand and get them post about it, talk about it, make videos, and etc.
Very interesting. And when you started, it was just all by yourself, right?
Correct.
Did you build a website, or how did you start in general? Like,
Yeah.
what are some of the steps that you took to build to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so I built the website myself because Shopify, the platform that I use, is pretty simple, and it doesn't require any coding. You don't have to know
Mhm,
coding to make a website, so it has already pre-built templates that you can just go in there and start editing and post, like editing the copy, the graphics and
mhm,
images, and now you have a website that's fully functioning.
mhm,
But I had that experience of already before I started the company. It's very important to say that this company is not the first one that I started and it just became successful out of nowhere. Before this,
mhm.
I had 5 or 6 companies that I started that never went anywhere except to the ground. So,
I
um,
see. Did
but
you lose money?
majority of the products, yes, some of them, no. Out of the 5, 6, at the end, I was positive, but
Mhm.
individually, some of them were lost, and some of them were a good success for temporary time, but I had to close down and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Very interesting. 5, 6 companies until you started Organic Nature, right? And then you
Yes.
used Shopify. Do you still use the same website, or did you build your own website later? Um,
No, we still use Shopify platform to host our website. So Shopify is just a hosting website. I mean hosting platform that hosts the
mhm,
websites, but we still use them.
mhm,
And the website is just they just get tweaked and updated every week depending on what we're doing. But yeah.
mhm. And can you also accept payments and stuff like this on the website? What are the functions that the website offers for the
Yeah, yeah.
customers?
They offer everything for you to start an e-commerce business and start selling your digital services or digital products or physical products. So they accept payments. They make everything seamless in terms of in the back end where you have your orders, you have your customer database, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's all in one platform that if you want to start an e-commerce business, you go through Shopify, and it's the easiest way to do it.
Okay. So it's still relevant if somebody's starting an
Oh,
e-commerce
absolutely.
business, would you recommend it?
Absolutely, yes.
Is it only because they can save money on costs, or is that because it's good enough to sustain a business e-commerce business?
I mean, I know, but like there are 100, $200 million brands that are on Shopify. So, like that, Shopify is made for that. So that it's made for e-commerce companies to build, and they provide the concrete the concrete foundation for you to build your own business.
Hmm. Hmm. I see. And very interesting. Very interesting. And what does the logistics of the business work? How does it work? Let's see.
So, logistics of my business is pretty simple. I advertise on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Google.
Hmm.
Let's say you look for my product. Let's say you're looking to buy,
Hmm.
collagen. You look for collagen, and somehow I'm gonna track you down because through Facebook Pixel and data sharing between platforms of Facebook and Instagram, we advertise, and we get you to convert. You place an order on our website. The order
Hmm.
comes through for us. We have your shipping address. We take the product that you ordered and we ship it to your house. It's that simple.
Wow, very simple. I could tell. Wow, so many things to learn here, and I wouldn't imagine it was going to be this simple. But I think the main part of this business, like why it became so successful, is because you picked the right industry at the right moment. Is that what it is? Do you attribute it
I
to to this timing? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say luck and timing was a huge part of it. I feel like that luck and timing is a huge part of anybody who does anything big. I feel like, you are never the first one to come up with the idea. You are never the first one to come up with a unique idea that no one has ever thought of. So the chances of you actually, whatever you're thinking, someone else has thought of it before you, well before you, for years.
Mhm.
It just comes down to luck and timing and execution, and that's what drives the that's what I feel like the actual formula. So I'll start with the luck. In order to get
Mhm.
lucky, you have to be prepared to get lucky. So how did I how the way I was prepared for being lucky is the fact that I had five other six businesses that in the same industry. I didn't fail five six businesses in different industries. I didn't go to real estate. I didn't go to what do I say uh, um, local services or any other type of business types or IT. I didn't fail five, six IT companies or five different six trucking companies. I failed
Yeah.
five, six different companies in the same sector, which is an e-commerce.
Right.
So that just gave
Mhm.
me a lot of experience for me to be able to be lucky at the time when I started this company. And timing obviously comes in when the COVID happened. The product was just the perfect market fit. It
Yeah.
started selling right off the bat. I never lost money. I was instant positive when I started selling the product. I never lost money, and the upfront capital was very small at that time. Um, and then
Right.
execution. I might have had both. I might have had the luck in my end. I might have been prepared. The timing was great. I could have known about
Mhm.
CMOS, and it's a popping product that's happening. But if I never executed on it, I would have never been here. So that's what I just tied into those three things.
Yeah. Wow. Very interesting. And I mean, of course, as you mentioned, you already have tried five, six other companies, right? Uh, and when you say luck, a lot of people associate it with coincidence, but then you explained it very well, meaning like you have to be prepared and you have to stick to one industry. You shouldn't like dabble in and out, right? Just stick to one industry and catch the right moment. Very
Yes.
interesting. Awesome. And I just made a little bit of research online in terms of how the e-commerce market is, doing in the United States. It turns out 999, what, $992 billion was spent on social media e-commerce in 2020, based on Forbes statistics, and 40% online shoppers make a purchase because of social media influence. I see you guys have 27,000 followers on Facebook alone. I don't know. I couldn't find any other social media channels now as of yet. How much social media do you guys use to reach your target customers?
Oh, we use social media heavily. That's basically like half of our advertising budget spent on social media
Mhm.
between Instagram and Facebook. It's the
Mhm.
main driver of the revenue. It's advertising every day on Instagram and Facebook. And then
Mhm.
other half goes mainly 40% goes into Facebook and Instagram. About
Mhm.
30% goes into Google, and other
Mhm.
20% are split between social media influencers and other things like SEO and stuff like that.
Interesting. Could you break it down one more time, percentage wise, just
Yeah, so
to?
we spend about 40% of the budget on social media advertising, so between Facebook and Instagram,
Mhm.
and about other 30 or 40%, I would say, in Google advertising, so search-based results. And then the other remaining percentage is split out between other marketing attempts, which is like we're trying to work with YouTubers, which they're expensive, and trying to work with social media influencers and so forth, those type of avenues.
Mhm. Very interesting. Very interesting. So 40% on social media, 30% on Google, and the rest is split between other channels. How do you guys reach out to social media influencers, and how do you target them? Do they have to be in the same industry, or how do you guys pick the right people?
Yeah, it's very important. You cannot just go and just pick anybody who has followers on Instagram or YouTube, because what we look at is mainly the engagement and demographics. Those are the two driving things. And at the end, it's what's going to decide if we're going to work with them or not is their pricing. Are there reasonable pricing? But the first two things we look at instantly is like the engagement. Do they have a loyal customer base where the people are engaging all the time on their social media, on their YouTube comments, or on their Instagram posts? Or is it just like they're just like a model, right? If it's just a model, they don't influence anybody to make a purchase. So the actual definition of an influencer is for you to influence someone else to do something. So
Mm-hmm.
so we don't want a celebrity. We want an influencer where they can influence. They have an influence over over their fans. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have followings and they're popular, but they don't have an influencer whatsoever. So you might recommend a product, they don't care about it because you're not an influencer. You cannot influence them. They don't trust you enough. You don't have the authority. So we try to look at those type of people where we can find, even if they have a small following. That just means that if they have a small following but very highly engaged fan base, that means they have very good customer base where those people will trust anything they say. If they say this monster is good, you will go buy this monster next time in a gas station because your favorite influencer said so. So that's the whole concept behind it.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So you guys do a proper research before you, start working with any influencers, and even though they have a lot of views on social media, they may not be influencing their audience, right? They
That's
could
correct.
be bloggers or the
Yes.
people who like videos, right? So they have
Mhm.
to be very interesting, and it doesn't matter like how many views they get, as long as they make an impact and there are viewers decision making, then that's the target for you guys, right? Is that what it is?
That's it. We don't care about the. Obviously, we try to go for higher people that are more. They have a lot more followers, so that way we can have a higher reach and try to generate more revenue because that's what matters at the end. But even if they have a 10,000 YouTube followers, but they're getting 3, 4,000 views every video they post, that means 40% of their subscribers almost are watching. That's a really good
Mm.
rate. So if you break it down in terms of percentage, so yeah.
And how much time do you guys take to find the influencers? Like, that does one of your team members follow someone for a week or something, and then try to join their live videos and stuff, and
No,
see
no.
how
Everything
how
is
does it work?
out there. So once an average influencer or popular person out there, you have all their social media. You just spend 10, 15, 20 minutes on their profile, go through the YouTube analytics. There's different software that you can just throw their link on, and they will just give you a lot of their information about their channel, the engagement rate, and all these type of things. So you don't have to watch them and observe them for a week just to understand what type of customer or like fan base they have. It's fairly simple. It's just research and their processes and steps. You do it, and it takes quick time.
Okay. uh, Interesting. I see a relevant question, a few questions, but this one is relevant. Charles is asking, you mentioned that you manufacture your own product formulations. Do you have a lab team to create those formulations? How do you verify that it's not harmful, or it actually helps people?
Yeah. So first you go with the what makes up your formulation, right? So, for example, one of our products, collagen CMOS. So we created that. That's our own formula. That's why we have it named world's first collagen CMOS, because other companies do sell collagen, other companies do sell CMOS, but no one has combined the both to sell together.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, we wanted to combine two different audiences together as a two-in-one solution. So to answer your question step by step, let's say in order that the thought process to create that formulation was that, okay, first of all, we do research. Why do we want to launch a specific type of product? We don't just launch a product just because we want to launch a product. We want to launch a product in order to hit specific demographics, in order to hit specific type of people that we want to reach or advertise. And there's different types of products. There's ones trying to make it a hero product, or there are other ones where they're just another trailer in behind your hero product. So hero product means that you directly advertise that product to drive in the revenue, to bring in the new customers. But not all your products are going to be hero product. They're just other products. They're just a bandwagon, like a little wagons behind the hero product. Once I get you into my ecosystem, then I'm going to try to upsell you, cross-sell you other products that I have. So, and I always go away from the question, but to answer your question, I have a lab team to create the formulations. We'll just do research step by step. Once we know that, hey, we want to combine collagen and CMOS, what I do is I contact our manufacturers. I say, hey, here's the idea I have. Which one of you guys can do it? They say, we're not able to do it. Some of our manufacturers will say, yeah, we can. We're able to do it. So then it goes into an R&D process. It's called research and development. So during the R&D process, that's where they test for heavy metals. They test for harmfulness, what kind of things that if you combine these two products, is it gonna be a shelf life stable or is it not? So then you get all those safety questions answered during the R&D process. So the R&D process takes a while. Once you're done the R&D process, now it's ready to formulate. So now it's just about, okay, you want to do collagen CMOS? Okay, great. Do we want to do add flavors? If we do want to add flavors, that also adds more time to R&D process, because now they have to add the flavor and do more shelf life testing to see if it's going to be sustain itself and not go bad. So, so those are the things that, those are the like overall simple overview of the process.
I see. Very interesting. And do you guys pay for the research, like for this whole process that you described now?
Yes. They bill us by the hourly, however the research and development team spends, because there's two ways of doing it. You either bring it in-house or you just outsource it. We're not at a point to bring R&D process and a lab team in-house whatsoever, because that's not our business model. We don't want to hire more people. We don't want to manage people that don't drive revenue. R&D process, those type of things, they're not the main revenue generator employees or costs that you want to focus on. So our time, my time, focuses on what brings the revenue into the company, not necessarily what has to be done day-to-day basis. So R&D has to be done regardless before any product launches. So I don't want to have to deal with people to control them, manage them in order to do the R&D. So we outsource them. R&D, different manufacturers, they usually have in-house R&D team, and we just pay them whatever they the quote they give us.
And do you guys have to comply with any government regulations, like FDA or some other organizations?
Yeah, so FDA regulates the facility. So yeah, most of the time the product that you're creating has to be made in an FDA registered facility.
Oh, I see. Okay. And the people who do the research and manufacture the products are accredited professionals. And okay, they have licenses and everything. I see. And do you constantly try to do things to change or improve the quality of the product, or you just made one product and that's good enough for the next year, couple? Like how does it work? Do you always change the ingredients of the product?
Depends. Depends on customer feedback. That's the most important thing. You hear, you listen what the customers are saying and asking. That's why we do constant feedback surveys. So after people buy through their journey, let's say they buy today, after 60 days or so, they're going to receive a survey asking how was their experience, what they liked, what they didn't like. We collect those forms, the feedback forms, and then we analyze them every month to see what needs to be changed or if it doesn't need to be changed, because not everything has to be changed. But if it does have to be changed, it's important to pivot and change it. Otherwise, you're just looking at a slowly dying process, like dying company.
I see. Very interesting. And I'm sure like some customers buy it on a regular basis, and some customers like try it for the first time. What is the ratio of like, I don't know how to put this question into, I don't know how to form this question, but like, what is the ratio of like loyal customers and the the customers who just come buy it once? Do you have any metrics or measurements
Yeah,
for this?
we have about
Yeah.
30% customer return rate. So 3 out of 10 people would come in and buy again. 7 out of 10 people are usually like one-time buyers. They just want to try it and see what it is, and and they're not consistent with it.
I see. And does this number change at all, or it always stays
Yeah,
the same?
it fluctuates plus or minus 5 to 10%, depending on which quarter we're in. At the end of the quarter, during Black Friday season, during the holiday season, returning customer rate shoots up really high during those months.
Yeah.
People are coming
Mhm.
back to make their purchase, buying gifts, whatever. In the beginning of the new year as well, because people want to focus on new fitness goals, new health goals, so they come back. The customer return rate shoots up. During the summer, it kind of goes down because people don't really care about their health too much during the summer. They're already waiting for the end of the year to make a change. So it's kind of like interesting psychological things and behaviors that people go through different seasons and different months. So it's every quarter is a different type of season. Like now for us, we're going aggressively on reaching out and collecting new customer base to try for them to try our product, and then we'll heavily retarget them and try to market to them to buy again. Like they'll be prepared to buy again and stuff like that. End of the quarter, not end of the quarter, end of the year during the holiday season, because that's when advertising is going to be super expensive. So we want to collect right now as much as people into our database, so we have their email addresses, phone numbers to market them without having to spend money on Facebook and advertise to reach them. Because end of the year during holidays, most companies spend 30% of their budget in the span of one or 2 months. And so we're going to be competing and auctioning against those companies, and it's going to be very expensive for us to advertise around that time than now. Everybody's like draws back during this time because the ad spend is not profitable. So you spend a dollar, you're not even getting a dollar back in revenue. But end of the year, it gets even worse. You spend a dollar, you're getting 20 cents back per dollar you're spending. So I'd rather spend it now, spend as much as I can where I can sustain the growth consistently. So that way I'm ahead of the curve where I'm collecting as many as customers under my umbrella, have them follow our social media, have them join our Facebook group, collect their phone numbers, email addresses. So that when we're trying to market end of the year during the holidays, Black Friday sale, Black Friday discounts, we have their email addresses to send them an email. We have their phone numbers to send them a text message. So now we don't have to spend money on Instagram to reach that same person.
Wow, very interesting. There's a science for it, I guess, right? So you can literally like measure all these trends that are happening from season to season, and you can literally like bet on the timing as well. Very interesting. Let's see, we have received any other questions. Artur is asking, what kind of research do you do to predict the future trends in your industry?
That's interesting question. In order to do that, basically I'm involved in many conferences, events, and always hanging out and like being in the circle of people that are in this industry and ahead of me, and I just listen and basically learn and analyze from the corner, because it's hard to predict the future in any industry, regardless. Even if you're the best person or the expert, it's hard. But you can make smart decisions based on what you think the economy is doing, based on what the industry and where it's headed. But I would say is like being around networking with people that are in the same industry and they're way ahead of you. I think that's what's gonna give you the advantage and the extra edge over other people, and it's well worth it. And you might be asking like, how do you even get into contact with people that are ahead of you in the industry? First of all, you have to either provide value or you have to provide money. So those are the two things. You either provide value in a way you go out and say, hey, look, I'll do this free for you, I'll do this, or you bring your connection to them. You say, hey, you're looking for this person, I have a connect where I can connect you. That way you bring value to the table instead of just going and asking them. Or the second way is simple. You join, you pay for their time, that's it. And sometimes it's direct time where they charge hourly, $1,000, $2,000 an hour, those people that are ahead of you in your industry. Or sometimes they have conferences or events that they run, and you go and pay for those circles to be in. You buy your seat at the table, and sometimes that's fine. And that's how you get into the right rooms, and that's how you grow and learn from those people. And that's what's gonna give you the advantage over the next guy that's your competitor.
Hmm. Interesting. So you either go to conferences and events that are taking place at no cost, or you just have to pay to join some circles and talk to some industry experts, right? Is that what it is?
Yep, and they're masterminds that a lot of the in every industry that I know of, like that I've heard of, I'm pretty sure all of those industries have those small groups of circle of people where it's like they teach you, they help you and they network, but it's an expensive thing to join those masterminds. And that's one thing that made one of the biggest changes for me when I started joining those masterminds. They were expensive at the beginning. One of the masterminds that I joined, the yearly fee is $30,000 to be part of, and I paid $30,000 a year to be part of that mastermind. But it's well worth it because of the connections you get. One connection is gonna pay for itself. Uh, I was looking for one of our manufacturers for one of our products, and I couldn't find one for a while. And all I had to do was find the right person to ask, and all they did was provide their phone number, and that's how it started. So that's all it
Wow.
takes. Sometimes it's not about another concept is that they say it's not about who you know, but who knows you as well. I think that's important, um, because yeah, but the way you start getting building up and you start going up the ladders is that first you get to know them, provide value, and not be a
Hmm.
fanboy, and actually like provide actual value that they gonna respect you for and they appreciate, and you're not gonna ask them for anything back. But down the line, now they know they owe you something regardless. Subconsciously, when you ask for them favor, they're not gonna decline you or they're not gonna push you away because you provided value first.
Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. Not who you know, but who knows you. Interesting. Never heard this statement before. Something new for me. But awesome. Okay. And could you also maybe list some of the responsibilities that you have as the CEO of the company on a day to day basis? Like what do you do when like from the morning to the evening? What's like you say
Um,
you work 12 hours? What time do you start and like what's the percentage of like the kinds of works you do during the how do you split them in one day?
It's a lot of the things is I would say 20-30% is day-to-day small details that I have to do. That's also
Hmm.
something I'm working on is like hiring an uh, operations role where they can take some of my plate. But day 20-30% of my time goes to things that has to be done daily regardless under my wing, under my responsibility. And then the other percentage goes into researching and coming up with different unique marketing angles that how we can tap into untapped markets or untapped niches or untapped products, or how can we maximize retention, which means bringing existing customers basically making them their second purchase, third purchase, fourth purchase, so on and so forth, where is basically those things that generate revenue mainly. So that's what it's a 20-80 rule. 20% of the work that you spend brings 80% of the revenue. So that's what I try to focus on, the 20% of the work that what actually matters.
Hmm. Hmm. Very interesting. Awesome. And let's talk about the last part uh, uh, of the planned interview here that we have is you said you're on pace to do a $6 million revenue for the year. Let's talk about the numbers if you could provide some numbers.
I kind of 6 million. That's the number I'll provide for now. But we're growing really good this year, and we've been breaking ceilings and walls of the that we had. But I'll talk about the struggle rather than the actual good part. About
All right.
yeah, 6 months prior or 8 months prior, we were kind of like on like one level, like basically very linear growth. There was no growth whatsoever. We were just like we were just existing, we were just living, and we were just doing
For how
day-to-day
long?
basis for about
Mhm.
a little over a year. We were plateau. We hit a plateau. So about a year and a half total, we were at a plateau. We were like, we couldn't go, nothing was working, and that we were
Mhm.
trying, and nothing was breaking the ceiling. um, and then the last 6 months or so, we made drastically a lot of changes. We hired more people. We hired people that knew what they were doing. That's gonna help us to drive it up, and that's what's paying off pretty much. Is just outsourcing, because before that, I was doing a lot of the work myself, a lot of the marketing angles, a lot of the things, like just at the creatives, the media buying, and so on. Those, because I knew those roles, I know how to run those roles, but I had to give it up in order to focus my time on more things, and not be that person where it's like, oh, I have to do everything myself. That's the mentality that changed. And for us in the last 6 months, that's what basically broke the ceiling for us, where I had to change the mentality of, oh, I'm able to do everything, I don't need nobody. To, no, let me just take some of my plate, hire the right people, hire people that are spending their day-to-day basis just thinking about that one thing, one aspect of the business, rather than me
Yeah.
thinking about 10 different aspects.
Mhm. Very interesting. So you started delegating some of the responsibilities to the new hires, and very interesting. And how, like, you mentioned that you had like linear growth for over a year and a half. That's a long period, right? It's like what, 15 months,
Hmm.
17 months, like that, right? How do you keep your faith in the future? Like, what keeps you like going? Like, what if you fail? What if you failed? You didn't reach the plateau. You never broke the ceiling. Did you have those thoughts?
Yeah,
And
of course.
how you keep persistent in your endeavors?
Yeah, highs and lows of the business are very normal. That's what I really kind of picked up, is that you're going to have seasons for everything. Just like how I
Hmm.
mentioned, we have seasons for marketing, acquiring new customers versus when not to acquire new customers, when to switch the focus. Same thing goes with like my own thoughts of like, sometimes I'm at a very low, where it's like I was at some very low point when I wasn't seeing the growth. Because yes, of course, if somebody else came in and asked, hey, how much are you doing in revenue or whatever, when I say the figure, they're like, wow, you're doing amazing. But in a retrospect, for a year and a half, I haven't had a growth. So how is that? Am I doing
Yeah.
amazing when I haven't had a growth? I haven't seen something that worked. Um, During those times, of course, I have double thoughts of like, what's gonna happen to the future, what's gonna happen this. But I think really deep down, that's what actually drives me and gives me like motivation. The risks and the adrenaline is what I call it, like the highs and lows. Because I'm looking and I know that right around the corner there's something big. That's what I'm always expecting. When everything is
Hmm.
going well, I know right around the corner there's something bad coming, and I'm just like prepared for it. Because neither can be true. You cannot have linear of either good or bad for a long time. So if something is going bad, something is good gonna come, and if something is going well, too good, something also bad is going to happen right around the corner. So you just embrace yourself for the impact, regardless of either situation.
Hmm. Wow. Very valuable advice. So you're never gonna have linear of good or bad things that are happening in life, right? I mean, and in business as well. Very interesting. Very interesting perspective. Awesome. It looks like we already reached an hour and 24 minutes mark. Let me know if you have any other topics that you want to share with us, or any information that you'd like to share with our audience. Feel free.
Yeah. Just a piece of like my 2 cents is like, I feel like in Uzbekistan, if people are watching back home, e-commerce,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just starting out, right? um what I kind of see is the trends of whatever happens in America, in the Western society, is like back home we catch up 4 or 5 years later, or some industries maybe like a decade, depends. But I feel like e-commerce is very booming industry, even in America, and let alone in other countries like Uzbekistan. So if you do want to do it, I would highly encourage anybody to actually put their time and focus and build something in the e-commerce industry. You don't have to build a physical product. You could do something else. You could do digital products. You could build a software, because I know a lot of the IT like viewers here. you could build different softwares. And I'll just give an example and shout out to one of my cousin's companies. It's called Aptochka.com, and they're building an all-in-one software where you integrate all of your marketplaces that you're selling into one single point of view. So let's say you're an average e-commerce seller in Uzbekistan. You sell your products on Telegram, you sell your products on Instagram, you make posts on Telegram, on Instagram, different separately. I don't know if if they post on Facebook. I don't know the market, but Aptochka, what it does is it brings all those together and integrates with all those platforms. So now you go into aptochka.com, you upload one image, you catalog, and it basically uploads automatically in every other platform. So you can just manage it in one space and from one place. So instead of going to Instagram and making the same post and literally doing the same thing again and waste another 10 minutes making a post on Telegram, write the price, write the title, upload the pictures. Instead, in Aptochka, what they built is you upload everything in one platform, and it just launches and makes it live on your Telegram shop, on your Instagram shop, on your Facebook shop, on your website, and so on and so forth. My point is that there are opportunities everywhere. You just have to kind of look around and see what is your advantage. Like, what can you leverage? I think leverage, that's what's important. Because you have to know, if you already know IT, leverage IT. Don't go into different industry just because you saw somebody else advertise it on Instagram saying, here's how I'm making a lot of money through real estate. Come join real estate course. No, if you know IT already, you have experience of 3 years, leverage that. Do something around that. You could do e-commerce at the same time IT, because if you have IT knowledge, now you can build a software much easily than someone who doesn't have IT background in the e-commerce space, even if you wanted to join into that industry. So just extra thoughts. That's what I had. That's it.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. So much information to digest. We technically learned how to operate an e-commerce business, I guess, at this point. And I'm sure a lot of people were, able to reflect back on their and on their attempts. And I just want to, point out some of the things that I learned from you during this conversation. Not only I learned, but some of the potential takeaways for our viewers, current viewers, or the viewers that will be watching later. As soon as we finish it, they'll be uploaded on different social media channels, including YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then, so college is one thing and living abroad is another. So you highly encourage people who are in Uzbekistan, if they have dreams to go to different countries and study there, do it not only for the sake of getting education, but also the experience you get from it. I totally agree with this. And in order to be lucky, you have to be prepared. Luck comes to those who are prepared, who do the work, who do the due diligence, who take action, and stick to one industry. If you're trying to be successful, sticking to one industry, not dabble in and out in different industries. Keep your focus on one thing. Awesome. And what else? Over a year and a half, you didn't have any growth, and then all of a sudden you reached that plateau and things changed and you're experiencing a lot of growth at the moment. And I like the statement that you mentioned, which is you're not going to have any linear what do you call it, growth, is it what it is, linear of anything, good or bad. It never happens. You have to be prepared when things are good. You have to be prepared for the bad things to happen, and when things seem to be too good to be true, then you have to be ready for bad things. And awesome. And e-commerce is not going anywhere. If you still have desire to get into the e-commerce business, do it. Stick to your own niche. You don't have to, change directions. If you're in real estate, stick to real estate. If you're in IT, use all the knowledge and experience you have, and build something bigger than yourself. I appreciate your time and effort. Love to stay in touch with you for any future collaboration. And I wish you best of luck in your business. And thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it as well.
All right. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you so much.